You're listening to the New Orleans Talk Network, a church without walls, hosted by Reverend Dee Dunn.
Charles Stewart.
A church without walls is a live call in talk show. It's actually a foundation. And we deal with issues concerning the community and the church. And we are trying to tear down walls that's standing in our way. And so, a church without walls welcome your input on whatever we do, as far as what the topic of the day is and things of that nature. So, we welcome you here to call in at 504-341-8255 and let your voice be heard. But before we get with the show today, our thoughts and prayers and money goes out to the flood victims of Louisiana. And the reason we said it like that is because just thinking about a situation and praying about a situation is good, but these people also need help. Being the victims of Katrina ourselves, we know that what it feels like to lose everything in a flood. It's almost worse, Charles, than just going through a storm. In a flood, basically everything is lost. Everything gets mildew after a day or so. And because of the contamination and bacteria and all of that kind of stuff, you literally, your freezer goes out, you lose electricity and all of that. So, everything goes out. So these people need our thoughts and prayers, but they also need our money. And we're asking you also, our listening audience, to, if you can, find a reputable company like the Red Cross or Salvation Army or somebody that you trust and make a donation. I know the Red Cross was saying that, just $10 can go a long ways because they buy stuff in bulk and things that people will need to start rebuilding their lives back. Because it's not just about putting together another house; it's actually putting together lives. So again, here at the New Orleans Talk Network, the Church Without Walls Foundation, our thoughts and our prayers and our money will go out to the flood victims of Louisiana. Charles, do you have something to say on that?
Yeah, no, certainly, D. We want to give a donation from that wall. And we just say that we know how that the people in the area, how we know how they feel because we've been through that already. I, and when it happened to us, we kind of like expected it may happen to us. So we have insurance. I think those people out in that area, I think the insurance company would tell them they doesn't need flood insurance because it's unlikely that it'd be a flood in the area. So I'm thinking that I know over 10,000 people is homeless as we speak right now. Uh, that many of them is in shelter. So and I can imagine how they may feel because they don't know anything about a flood in the area. So many of them, I want to believe they doesn't have flood insurance, so they got a lot to deal with. And anybody that make under $40,000, I imagine the hell they're gonna go through trying to rebuild. So certainly, they need our prayers, of course, but they need more than our prayers. They need money. So we ask everybody that can and who will contribute to help those people.
Yeah, yes. And if you're not sure about, who to donate to, go to some of the reputable sites. Uh, as I said, the Red Cross, the Salvation Army, and others, that that funds will go directly to the victims of the flood victims in Louisiana. Also, I would like to make the announcement also about the Lincoln Manor reunion that will be held on September the 23rd, 2016 at 607 Webster to make that announcement for them. So today, Charles, we want to talk about a house divided against itself cannot stand. There was a situation with Jesus when he went and cast out devils, and those that were standing around said that he cast out devils. Uh, how can he cast out devils in the name of Beelzebub? And Jesus, the Bible said, and Jesus knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. So when we talk about a house divided against itself, we are also, when we say against itself, it means that that house separates itself. So, in a real sense, in a literary sense, whatever separates itself, according to the Word of God, it cannot stand. If we talk about a family, the mother is on one side, the father is on the other side. That house will not be a strong foundation for a family because it will eventually it will fall. You talk about the church when it divides itself. When you have cliques in the church and some is on this side and some is on that side, and seem as though the people can't come together, that church would not be a strong church. When we talk about society, uh, in our society, even as a people, if we as a people can never come together as one voice, we are not going to be strong. So anything, a nation, whatever, if nations start to fight against itself, it cannot stand either. So no matter what we talk uh, about a house uh, divided against itself cannot stand. It goes farther beyond just a house or just a family. You know, we're talking about the church, we're talking about nation, we're even talking about the political party.
That's correct. The country is divided. It's been like that for years. Uh, I don't think that's gonna never change. You got 40% of the people in this country is Democrat, 40% is Republican, and the you have the people in the middle and the people that in the center of everything. They actually the one that make the choice because, as you can see during the campaign, right? I think, this, in my opinion, this campaign have divided this country even more than it was already. I mean, I don't understand how candidates can articulate uh, different divided message, and the people actually believe it. They tell them something, and then they can repeat it back to him and show him in this, a candidate in what he said, and almost every day it's like almost a replay. You know what he gonna say before he said, "Well, he didn't mean that. You misunderstand him. How in the hell you didn't misunderstand something that you hear his voice, and not only you hear his voice, you see a candidate, and on both sides, it's like it's like chaos, on the Republican side and the Democrat side. I mean, both candidates, in my opinion, that race, both of them is to me is off base. I mean, they divide, they divide the country. Now, I admit that one of them a little bit kind of off the cuff than the other one. Though.
Well, Charles, the Bible declares this that a house divided against itself cannot stand. And like I said, that house also goes as far as the nation, the country, wherever you live. If you're in a neighborhood and you have some people that want to do right and half that want to do wrong, that neighborhood is going to go into chaos and things. going to happen, and people, they're just not going to be a strong people. We often talk about how uh, people come to this country now and how they will pull their monies together and pull their families together. They will all live, a lot of them in one house. But because they pull their resources together rather than dividing it, then the next thing you know, what they will help the other one get on their feet. Now they're buying houses. Now they're buying up communities. Now they're opening up businesses because they brought themselves together
together.
as opposed to dividing up the money, dividing themselves. I mean, some go to work, some stay home, watch the kids, some cook, some do whatever they do. But at the end of the day, look how strong they become. And even now, we saw the demise of things that have gone on, blacks against white, police against community. That's division. But yet and still, we need each other. And because we need each other, that's what builds a force. We at the Church Without Walls Foundation, we are constantly talking about how to bridge that gap between the community and the church. Because actually, the church is made up of people that's in the community. I mean, we
That's the
often say
church,
that church is not the building, it's the people.
right?
So you start dividing the people from the church, you don't have a strong either one. You don't have a strong community and you don't have a strong church. So that wall of division needs to come down.
I agree so much. But the biggest problem is um, it's not designed for it to be that way. When you hear, I would call the names of Donald Trump. Something that he says, he'd be right, but the way, the other thing he said, I disagree with. But some things he said, like when he said certain thing is fixed now, they, like I said, any company that exists that is successful, it was founded and started by someone. That person put policies in place and people follow. And over the years, don't care who be the president. For instance, like you can say, like Coca-Cola or any company, when someone else take over, they don't change. So like McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, the current being dead, but you still got that same format, that same recipe. Popeye, Al Copeland, he gone, but you got the same recipe. And what happened in the United States is the reason why we so confused is that we don't have the same recipe every 4 years, either every 8 years. Don't care who was president, the one that take over from him, they don't build up on. You take like Obama, or what he did. I think he did a fairly good job, but he couldn't do everything in 8 years. So he used the word. He said, "I got the truck out of the ditch." So he's looking for someone to keep it going, but you got one party saying they're gonna destroy everything he did, and you got another candidate saying they're gonna keep it up. But in my opinion, if the Republican Party and the Democrat Party, that if they really love this country, love the United States, regardless who be president, Republican or Democrat, on what he done did, the good thing that he did, you keep the good thing that he did, and the thing that doesn't work for the country and for the people, you get rid of
You
those
get rid
things.
of it.
But you got at some point, if a pastor take over church, he can't come in there and just destroy get rid of all the people. I mean, follow what I'm saying? I mean, you got to literally get together and work together. And I think from what I can see is like, I don't want to believe that it's designed for the tear down. You build a house. I mean, every year you tear it down and start building again. I mean, how in the hell you building a solid foundation that way?
You are listening to the New Orleans Talk Network. A Church Without Walls, hosted by Reverend Dee Dunn and Charles Stewart. We'll be right back after the break.
This is Captain Black.
This is Brother Al Mims. Join us for our new show, The Hostages That Fight Back.
Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Central.
We are all hostages to something.
But it's up to us.
Find the courage to fight back and make the change.
So tune in to become the change you want to see in the world. Here on New Orleans Talk Network.
Brothers and sisters! Brothers and sisters! I don't know what this world is coming to.
Yo, this is Madman the Big Fan, one of the hosts of Fan View on New Orleans Talk Network. Check us out on our new location, Thursday, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And remember, this is not a sports talk show. This is a talk show about sports. Make sure to tune in.
Wags Food and Culture at 1601 Plaza Drive in Marrero. Always delivering the best food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There's a reason why people keep returning to Wags. The food's always hot, great portions, and it's just down home good. Call ahead to order in advance at 504-348-3080. That's 504-348-3080. And let Larry know that you heard about Wags on the New Orleans Talk Network. Call him now. Wags Food and Culture at 1601 Plaza Drive in Marrero.
At Jones Insurance, we find that peace of mind offers a real advantage. That is why we work hard to make things easier for you by protecting your cars, your homes, your businesses, and your life. Peace of mind, isn't that the best protection? Learn what insurance can do for you. Call your agent at 504-348-1492 or visit us at 7603 West Bank Expressway, Morello, Louisiana.
This is Remus Bowman. Join me live Monday at 12 o'clock on the New Orleans Talk Network. You can also join me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We're all over the place. We're going to open doors for you to have an opportunity to be successful. Pay low interest for your automobile, your home, your credit cards, everything that you buy. We're going to put you on a great path to have a successful future. Every Monday at 12 o'clock. Remus Bowman for you and your credit.
New morning show alert. New morning show alert. The Warren Valentine Show airs daily from 9 to 11 a.m. Central Time, bringing you the news you need to know. The Warren Valentine Show. Now on the New Orleans Talk Network. Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
Now New Orleans has a choice. Download the New Orleans Talk Network app for your mobile device or listen at www.neworleanstalknetwork.com.
We're back. You're listening to the New Orleans Talk Network, a church without walls, hosted by Reverend Dee Dunn and Charles Stewart. Today, we're talking about a house divided against itself shall not stand. You can get in on the conversation by calling 504 341 8255. Again, the Church Without Walls Foundation. Today we're talking about a house divided against itself shall not stand. Before the break, Charles, you were talking about the difference in the parties, how if a man build a house, you can't keep building a house and then tearing it down, and then a couple of years later you want to build it back up again.
Yes, Reverend Dunn. That's that's something I never understand. Like all my life since I've been a kid, I always hear the same thing, and I'm more than sure many people out there in the listening audience probably don't hear the same thing. It's always the country's broke, we ain't got no money, marriage is bad, everything is bad. But the elected officials, they still done the same thing that they always do. They got the private jet, the millionaires and the billionaires still done the same thing. So the country is so bad. And it's almost like they give us a sound advice. And mostly, you know what amazing to me, that most of the people that you see that turn up the campaign rally behind the candidate, he picked one or two issues that he going to sell to the people, whatever. Like on say on the right side, it's the that 40% they hate Obama. So if you want to run for office, all you have to do is use the method. I'm a repeal Obamacare. Obama do everything wrong. Everything he does is wrong. I mean, he get blamed for that. Everything Obama. Then on the left side, they don't. They sometimes they confuse. To me, they don't have a good sound like the way the right side do. Like they like to me. I think they have favor from God sometimes. All the mistakes they make and they still stand, but they also divided. And I don't understand. Like I think the American people need to stand up and tell like the left and the right. We tired of both parties fighting against each other. I mean, y'all divide us.
Within that division, you are talking about a nation of people that you are
Right.
divided, and
Right.
we know the word of God is true. So
Hmm.
if the nation divides itself, how is it ever going to be a strong nation or a strong country? And I think the people need to understand a part of the United States of America.
Right.
So if the United States of America divides itself, then the United States of America is going to eventually fall. It will not be strong, strong of a country as it is supposed to be.
Right.
Because if you continually dividing, okay, you have legislation that's going on to help build up the country, and then you have the other side tearing that legislation down. How will the country ever be a strong country? So the people themselves, when they divide, they are automatically, whether they realize it or not, they're making a country weak.
Right. And politics is really just a sound bite. It's what sound good to people, and people they buy that. I mean, like the old day they said, this guy's a snake oil salesman, this lady's a snake oil salesman. But the bottom line is, I see at the rally some of the people that be at those events, they fight against their own stuff. Like I done seen candidates say, if you elect me, I'm gonna get rid of welfare, and mainly is people that is there that most of them is on welfare. That is there, and they really don't understand that because, like, if you look at a percentage, like I remember years ago, where it done changed now because you have like black cameraman and black reporter, but in the old days when you said welfare, well, they only would show some black, like they could have like 100 people that in the food stamp office, Uh, say I had 100 people, 10 of them might be African American. Cause I know in Shrewsbury, the food distribution, you would think they didn't have. It was an all-white neighborhood. They had more. If they had 50 white people, they might have had 5 or 6 black. But when the cameraman came and gave a report up on food distribution, a food stamp, they always show somebody black. They pick one person, a guy that on the Cadillac dropped somebody, a young lady off. They report that. But the people like, I think in America, black people, we make up maybe a third,
13. It was
third of the country,
13%. Yeah.
15%. So the percentage tell you that we don't get a lot of food stamp. Matter of fact, food stamp is one of the biggest business they got in the United States. For the people that make the money on food stamp is the people who print the stamp and those that have jobs that run the food stamp. So the people that fighting against something is something that actually helped them more than they realize.
Right. But then yet it's so much of a dividing thing. Well, Charles, let me ask you this. Does social media divide us? Because people tend to really pay quite a bit of attention to social media. And well, I don't mean so much as just social media, but I mean the news reporters and things of that nature. People kind of watch this stuff, whatever goes on over and over. And if the camera, as you said, is just constantly showing black people just getting food stamps or welfare and all of that kind of stuff, then in your mind, you are dividing against your own people because you think everybody black is on food stamps and welfare.
Right. And also, like you're saying, the news media, they have to sell news. I mean, that's the only way they stay in business. Give you, for instance, President Obama, I forget what state he was in, but to me, he made one of the greatest speeches that he ever made. And the news media was covering Donald Trump getting up making a speech in another state. And he running for president, but they ain't cover the president. They cover Donald Trump. Why? Because Donald Trump. I mean, everybody want to see him in the news. They wonder what he gonna say crazy next.
Right.
And so that's just the way. That's the way it is. Like Hillary Clinton, if she out making a speech, they cover her if it's something that they gonna. If they bring up another one of her email, I mean, they gonna be there to cover it. Where she go,
But the members of the house is going to churches across town, which affects the community.
right,
If you're a part of this community, but you take your membership to a community that's a distance, that's division. But it started in the house. Because if I'm the wife of the mother and I'm servicing at a one congregation, my husband is going to another church, and my children are going to another church, as adults, we have a right to decide. And once our children are old enough to decide, we don't fuss with them about sticking together. Let's do this together. That's division.
right.
And then when we look at the nation as a whole, it's divided right now with Trump and Clinton. We have choices. As adults, we register to vote. Something as simple as registering to vote. Because Trump and Clinton are going to do what they feel necessary to get that position. They're going to say what they feel is necessary because they know who's taking their side. We as individuals have a right to vote. But how many of us are going to vote? We don't want to even get up and go register. If you're not registered, you can't vote. If you don't vote, you don't have a voice, but we complain. There's division because you can sit in a conversation with three people and it can be just a terrible, terrible discussion simply because this person is not registered to vote. Not allowed to vote because of one simple thing. They're not registered. It can go on and on. It's just so much involved in it. What do you say? That's my comment. Thank you.
Paula, one thing that I've come to realize that when families don't communicate, that's division because
Exactly.
you
Right.
don't know, the family dinners when they used to come together and sit at tables, even if it was just for Thanksgiving. We don't even do that
When was the
anymore.
last time a family did that? We could not eat until everybody showed up. And my
Right,
mom was living. We had to do something together before the day was over. We could not go to sleep without saying, I'm sorry. We had to hug and kiss and all this stuff that we was mad. That she thought we was mad. But who's doing that now? What has happened?
right.
The division is there, but how do you correct it? Because it's serious.
I feel like the way to correct it is just to do it. I mean, if you know
Yeah,
your
you're right.
family,
Just do it.
or you don't talk to your family members, or you don't come together with your family members, you don't sit, you don't talk, you don't know what their views are. Well, how can you bring them together if you are not aware of how they think, how they feel, how they move? I mean, you're sitting uh, down and your family members there, and they're about to lose their house, but the house is so divided, they're not saying anything. I
Exactly.
think
Well,
communication
in a
really
lot of this,
divides
I
us more than
remember I
anything.
was in a conversation last week, and a young lady told me, I don't want to raise my kids like my mom raised me. And I told her, you didn't treat her so bad. Look at your life. You're doing differently because you felt you were mistreated. But look at your life. You're successful. You're still thinking about what you did as a child that you didn't like, but you're successful now. So your mom didn't do too bad, you know. And a lot of the reasoning for the younger generation is because I want different from my kids. But when they sit back and look at how they are and what they're doing, a lot of it wasn't so bad. You know,
People tend to divide themselves. And the reason
exactly.
I'm
You're
saying
right.
that because if you know something is wrong, why is it that you will go along that's wrong in order to just go along? You're listening to the New Orleans Network, the Church Without Walls, hosted by Reverend Dee Dunn and Charles Stewart. You can get in on the conversation by calling 504 341 8255. Today we are talking about a house divided against itself shall not stand. And I agree with you, caller, that communication definitely divides a family if the family cannot sit and just talk. Many a times we can do things because we have uh, knowledge stuff. But what good is that knowledge if your family member needs it and they can't tell you, so you don't give them that knowledge, and you probably stop them from going through what they're so. I mean, even communication divides up in a house when family members don't communicate. I think that that's one of the things that not only you, also in the, a lot of times you in the church, you have no idea. Sometimes people in the church calling, you don't know why. Because you don't read their mind. Where you could have just stepped in, not just necessarily give them a hand, oh, but just give them a hand. And knowledge, I believe, is power, but we divide ourselves by not coming together to talk about some of these issues. You're listening to the New Orleans Talk Network, First Without Walls, hosted by Reverend Dee Dunn.
Uh, add to what the caller saying about how the family divided, and he is dead on key with that because I can remember as a little boy, um, my grandfather, he practically raised me from a little kid. The family came together. They sat around the dinner table together, and nobody could even pick up a fork or anything. And after we prayed a prayer, we discussed food. Then the family sat around the table, and we had dinner. After that, they would make ice cream. And not only that, well, even when television came, like you had one television. Now you got everybody got their own television. Daughter in one room looking at BT, and the son playing video poker. So it's no togetherness in the family anymore. And like used to be the family would get together and they would go for it. It was like festival, but you take a ride together. We do anything together. Like I don't know, if we would ever get back to it. I guess we could say those was a good, but you don't see family really get together anymore on anything. Like I think in most homes now, when it come time to eat, the daughter got a piece in her room, the son he in the room with some Popeye chicken, and daddy, like he done warm up in the microwave, and the mother on the phone talking with somebody eating a sandwich. So it's no togetherness in the family anymore, and that's a foundation that I think that need to be put back together. And I know Pastor Jones, him and I in conversation, he always talk about that as ever since 1985, we haven't did a good job in telling our young kids their history, where they came from. We haven't educated them to really realize the struggle and the meaning of a real value.
Right. One thing, we are always looking for somebody else to fix our problem. What you were talking about in the TV. Our son Johnny came over last night, and my husband bought a smart TV. So he's sitting down watching his smart TV because he wanted to look at, in the same room, he wanted to look at Clint Eastwood and Walker, and I'm looking at the games. And when he walked in, he said, "Well, why are you guys sitting in here looking at two different TVs in the same room?" But you're right. We want everybody else to really fix our problems when we are our problem, because if we can't come together in a family and bridge that gap. There's nothing wrong with watching what you like and I
Right.
like what I like, but
Mhm.
sometime we ought to come together and have some common ground.
Right.
Other than that, don't you remember? Even in politics, there was this couple that's here, and I think they live here in New Orleans. The husband was of one party and the wife was of the other party, and they really couldn't come together when it came down to politics.
Right.
Well, I feel if those are the things that divide in your family, you need to leave
Mhm.
that alone
Right.
and find something that does bring a family together. Because if
Mhm.
not, that's going to be a weak chain
Right.
in your household. You are listening to the New Orleans Talk Network, a church without walls, hosted by Reverend Dee Dunn and Charles Stewart. You can get in on the conversation by calling 504-341-8255. We are talking today about a house divided against itself shall not stand. And truly, one thing about the word of God, Charles, it does not lie.
Right.
If nowadays with the children having one view and the parents have another, it's amazing because most kids' views are, well, my mom and daddy, they really don't know nothing. I mean, the kids today, they are so different.
Mhm.
It's not the idea that they are so different, it's their views on life.
Right.
It's so
Totally different.
different. You can't tell me about life because you haven't lived it.
Mhm.
Now, you may do it a little differently. I mean, for example, let's talk about TV. When I came up, we had to get up and change the stations.
Right.
Today, you can just flick,
With a button. Yeah.
yeah, with a remote control. But that TV will still do the same thing.
Right.
But kids today will tell you, well, you don't know anything about life. I
Uh-huh.
know life. I'm out there. No, you're not out there.
Right.
You know, I have lived life. You have never lived it.
Right.
So that's another thing that keeps us divided. Our views keeps us divided.
Yes. And another thing, see, some of that stuff you see on television is not reality.
Right.
Like it's a fantasy, but it's sell. And it got so much out there to divide us, and that's why Reverend Don, that God bless us to come together every Monday to talk about the thing that divide us, and to our listening audience, our goal is to bring people together. And when we say we want to knock down the wall, we really want to knock down the wall, and we love the people that call us, and we love every one of y'all. Some of y'all never called in, y'all listen, and we appreciate that y'all listen. Cause people tell me all the time, I thought y'all did a great show, so we want y'all to know that we love y'all, and we gonna keep on asking whenever you call us. We pray that God will give us the answer for you. We gonna be a mouthpiece to you for God.
Right.
And, and another thing, a few weeks ago, we had our first like little gala, had an all white night. That Reverend Don had it came up on our heart that we wanted to do all white night, and I kid y'all not, it was a beautiful night. I mean, it was a packed house. And when you see some beautiful black people come together, I mean, they looked it. I mean, wow. Everybody looked good in their white, and we're gonna do that again in the future. But I want to say that it was such a great night. People enjoyed themselves so much, and they remember the old days. So they asked us to do it again. So on September the 30th, we done it. We gonna do it again. We had an older but goodie night. That all you remember is a step that used to could make 20 years ago come out, and we're gonna relive that. We might not can move fast as we used to could, but we hoping to see y'all on our older but good night. And it's gonna be Also, it's gonna be comedy that night. You're gonna be able to laugh. You're gonna be able to laugh, and the young man gonna be entertaining us. He got some. It's no Eddie Murphy, Chris Rock joke now. It's gonna be good, clean jokes, and we want y'all to come out and have some fun with us.
Thank you, Charles, for that. Don't forget that the New Orleans Talk Network, the Church Without Walls Foundation, we're going to have an Oldies But Goodie night featuring Jews Diamond Washington. We're going to have comedy, music, and food. And this will be on Friday, September the 30th, 2016, 7:30 until. But Charles, that just wraps us up. What you have to say?
This is fast as hour in show business here. So no such thing as half dead. If you dead, you are dead.
See you next week.
We love y'all.
God bless you.